Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a massive, comprehensive system implementation guide and turning it into your absolute ultimate playbook for stopping catastrophic post-go-live failures. Seriously, if you've ever been trapped in a project war room at like 2 a.m. just chugging stale coffee because a brand new system failed to launch, yeah, you know exactly how high the stakes are here. So we're going to break down the exact framework that separates the really successful projects from those total sleep-depriving disasters. Let's just dive right into it. Is your system review just a glorified spell check? Because honestly, if your team is just scanning for formatting errors or fixing missing commas, you are walking straight into a disaster. It's a trap so many organizations fall into. They stare at this massive requirements document, check off the grammar, make sure all the fonts match, and just assume, great, the system is ready to go. But here's the reality. A document that reads perfectly can still hide massive project-killing flaws. I mean, think about it. It's kind of like using a feather duster to check the structural integrity of a jet engine. A true review is a rigorous stress test. It's about hunting for hidden operational gaps, not just doing a superficial editing exercise. Look, we aren't here to be proofreaders, right? We're here to be system architects and business analysts. Our actual job during a review is to find those fatal disconnects between what the business fundamentally needs to achieve and what the system is actually being built to do. So, here's our playbook for today. We'll be hitting the true purpose of reviews, consistency and exceptions, prioritization and change management, SAP and data migration, and finally, AI and human responsibility. All right, part one, the true purpose of reviews. Let's see how this builds our foundation. So the crucial takeaway here is that a flawless-looking document can still hide some truly fatal disconnects. And when actual business problems pop up, that document becomes completely useless. For example, imagine your company's core goal is to speed up the financial closing process. But when you look at the IT requirements, they're only talking about changing the color and layout of an input screen. I mean, that is a massive disconnect. Or what if you're building an entirely new, super expensive system, but the requirements just blindly copy your old, inefficient manual workflows? You've got to hunt for these gaps. You really need to be on the lookout for unverified legacy rules and totally missing logic for things like reversing bad data. Moving on to part two, consistencies and exception handling. This is where we hit the brutal reality of system architecture. To prevent a total system collapse, there are three specific types of consistency you absolutely have to verify. First, vertical consistency. This basically ensures that a high-level business goal actually makes it all the way down into a testable system feature. Then you've got horizontal consistency, which means your sales department's cancellation policy doesn't totally contradict your accounting department's revenue rules. And finally, temporal consistency. This one is huge. It ensures your system doesn't just spontaneously break because a transaction crosses a time zone or happens to land it on the last day of the month. And listen, never ever rely on the happy path or normal flow alone. Why? Because it is always the exceptions, things like cancellations, partial shipments, and data reversals that actually break systems. The normal flows are easy to explain, right? They look amazing in software demos. But what happens when an approver is out on vacation? Or what happens when a customer returns half an order, but you've already paid taxes on the entire thing? If your requirements don't cover those messy exceptions, your system is going to paralyze your business the exact moment something unexpected happens. Okay, part three, prioritization and change management. Let's talk about handling those competing demands. So, to handle the inevitable flood of demands from every single stakeholder, we use the Moscow prioritization method. Must have, should have, could have, and won't have. The absolutely critical point here is that won't have does not mean never. It just means not this release. And let me tell you, that is an incredibly powerful way to manage scope creep. If a feature isn't legally required or literally essential to keep the lights on, it might just be a could have. By clearly defining what we won't have this time around, we protect the project budget and timeline without just dismissing stakeholders forever. Now, a changing requirement isn't necessarily a failure, as long as you follow a really strict impact analysis workflow. Requirements are gonna change. It's just a fact of business. But if someone asks for a change, you can't just quietly update a spreadsheet somewhere. You have to analyze the cross-functional impact. Like, if we change this one sales requirement, how does that impact taxes, or inventory, or our training manuals? It's like throwing a rock in a pond. Only after that rigorous analysis is done across all departments can the change be formally approved and rebaselined. All right, on to part four, SAP implementation and data migration.
time for a reality check on technical constraints.
Fit to standard. This is a pretty brutal reality check, honestly. It forces you to stop blindly replicating your old manual workflows and instead justify every single customization you want to make. It doesn't mean you must unconditionally use the standard system no matter what. It just means that if you're going to deviate from default SAP processes, you better have a rock-solid reason. Because we've always done it this way is absolutely not a valid reason. Is it legally required? Does it give you some massive competitive edge? If not, you really need to adapt your business to the standard software.
And building right on top of that is the concept of clean core. This ensures that when you actually do need those approved custom extensions, they don't corrupt the underlying architecture or completely block your future upgrades. In the old days, companies used to heavily modify the core code of their ERP systems, which, as you can guess, made upgrading an absolute nightmare. Clean core means keeping the main standard system pristine and building your unique custom features on the outside using API connections. This guarantees your system stays agile and upgradable for years to come. Okay, when it comes to data migration during cutover, you have to verify what's called the reconciliation gate, and that demands exactly zero difference in your financial balances, zero. Any unresolved variance requires direct executive approval. Just think about it. When you move from your old legacy system to your new one, your general ledger, accounts receivable, inventory valuation, they have to match down to the exact cent. So data migration isn't just some technical IT task. It is a critical, high-stakes financial milestone. Finally, Part 5. AI utilization and human responsibility. Let's look at the future of requirements gathering. Look, AI is an incredible co-pilot for drafting complex process flows and catching those tiny ambiguities. But check out this workflow. It is an AI human-in-the-loop process. Humans absolutely must maintain ultimate oversight. Sure, you can use AI to listen in on a stakeholder meeting and extract this beautiful, formatted list of potential requirements. It's actually fantastic at spotting missing steps or prompting you with clarifying questions. But notice how this workflow explicitly starts and ends with human experts.
And what you really should take away from this is that while AI handles the heavy lifting of data extraction and drafting, only humans can navigate the messy stuff. Only a human can negotiate departmental politics or confirm legal compliance. AI cannot decide if a requirement genuinely aligns with your company's strategic vision. It definitely can't mediate a fierce disagreement between your head of sales and your head of finance, right? And most importantly, AI cannot take the accountability if this system accidentally violates a tax law.
So the tools are definitely getting smarter and our methodologies are getting much sharper. But the core of a successful implementation still relies entirely on rigorous, human-led verification of exactly how the business operates in reality. Which leaves me with a final thought for your next big project. When the system crashes on go-live day, are you going to just point fingers at the documentation, or are you ready to take ultimate accountability for a flawless launch right now?